Here we are again for another episode of the podcast, and tonight the special guest is one of my good friends, a unique human being, Mr. Aubrey Marcus. Aubrey, welcome.
What's going on, AJ? How you doing, brother?
Great, man. You're a man of many ventures, many businesses, mind-altering experiences in the jungles of Peru and all over. We'll get to that for sure. But what's your title right now, you would say, as your job?
That's a good question. But, primarily, obviously, running Onnit, CEO, founder of Onnit, that's the primary task at hand. And do a lot of other things, as you said, but that's a baby born of my passion and love, and it's feeding a lot of mouths. So I got to keep that as a priority.
Are you at the headquarters there, or are you at home?
This is it. This is HQ. This is in the office
in Austin. I haven't had a chance to get down there and see it, but I've seen all the pictures. It seems like you guys are growing. Like, you take over new space every month. You just opened a gym.
Just opened a gym. Yeah, we took over the spot next to us, and we're probably going to move the warehouse to its own autonomous place because we need a little bit more room. So things are good. Life is good at Onnit HQ.
It reminds me, whenever I see the pictures of what you guys are doing, I follow everything you're doing, and it's almost like the Great Gatsby. It's like if the Gatsby was your CEO. That's like you, like, hey, still a racquetball coordinator. How about we let's paint some chimps on the wall and make a weight room for the employees.
Don't give up the secret that I'm just making stuff that I really love myself. That's the true secret. But I guess there is something to that. I mean, there's nothing about this company or this place that I'm not like incredibly passionate about doing, taking, experiencing myself. So I guess there's a lot of the motherfuckers that are a little bit like me out there. That's the moral of things.
Do you think that's part of the reason? I know when you got started, you and Joe Rogan basically came together and invented Alpha Brain pretty much, and came up with this whole plan, and then just boom, you guys exploded. And every year it seems like you're growing crazy how fast you guys are going. But you think you have that success because, like you said, you're honestly doing things that you like to do, you workouts you like to do, products you like, and you just kind of put your love into it, and people feel that?
I think that's a huge part of it. I think if you're trying to, sell something and be a part of something that you yourself aren't like directly passionate about, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. There's a lot of even science coming out about flow states and about what creates that kind of creative fire. And it's when you're doing stuff that you love. That's what allows you to really focus and really be at your very best. And that's certainly been the case for me. And, it started with Alpha Brain, and it just went from there. We did get a lot of help. It wasn't just me and Joe thinking about things, cooking about. We got a lot of help with some doctors and some other people.
I guess you and Joe were the face. You were the face of the thing that pushed it out there.
That's it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Obviously, if it was just YouTube with a couple mixing bowls, it probably wouldn't be what it is today. But
although I have to say that's kind of how Hemp Force came about, but that was a little easier because I just had to make some good ingredients taste good, so that helped out a lot.
That's good. I saw you give a speech actually recently. Well, I don't know when you gave the speech, but it was at that Masterminds talk. Is that what's his name? Jason Gainyard, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And you gave a speech there. How did you get involved with that whole situation?
He just hit me up and said, "Do you want to speak?" And so I just figured I needed to come up with a speech, and that's kind of how it went. But it was cool. It was definitely a good experience. Made a lot of contacts there, and got to talk about some of the key parts of another aspect of what made this business successful, and that's just how honest we are with people. I mean, it comes from both me and Joe's kind of our outlook on life and how we deal with each other and how we deal with everybody is just telling it like it is. And that comes as a surprise to a lot of people in this world. People are pretty jaded. So when we get to demonstrate that, they become really loyal and they understand where we're coming from.
When you were at that Masterminds talk thing, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I actually heard him on a different podcast talking about making connections. I guess he's like a master connector of people. And he was like excited about you. I heard him on this other podcast, James Altucher, And
Hmm.
he said he was all excited that you came down to it and you gave a speech. So I had found the video and watched it. It was cool to see it. But is that like making a connection like that? I think he even talks about, what's the dude's name? Bill something, Ryan Holiday?
Ryan Holiday, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like another master connector, genius guru guys like, was that a part of like your success as an individual and Onnit as a company? Do you like try to maximize that whole connection game? And what's the point of not being a huge douche, but also trying to connect and, trying to like actually make legit relationships?
I'm not that good at that game. Like, I'm about to go to this place called Summit Series at the end of the week, and it's going to be at Powder Mountain, and there's going to be a bunch of these different individuals, and it terrifies me a little bit actually going someplace and like having to go up to people and make small talk and kind of figure it out. But what has really helped me is that if I do get to spend some time with somebody, like have a dinner and make a quality connection, generally if there's some synergy there, we can make that stick. And that's been a really key ally for us in growing this business, is just forming these genuine connections. I mean, someone like Ludacris, who's taken our products and doing a bunch of stuff with us, totally random, but I get to go to Atlanta, hang out with him, and now that relationship becomes solid. And I got to meet the champ John Jones for a little while, and all of these little things that just kind of click, and then all of a sudden these relationships start to form that transcend any kind of monetary transaction. Same with the Blackhawks. I was just out in Chicago dealing with the Blackhawks. We haven't paid them anything, and they're supporting us and taking our products and doing that kind of stuff. And similar to the friendship that we have. It's just something that develops organically. But if I have to go in a room and try and talk to people, yeah, it's not my strength for sure. I'm much better when I have a Ryan Holiday or a Jason Gaynard introducing me to somebody.
Did you ever have to be that guy and like cold call people and go into rooms and pitch whatever you were selling or whatever you were? I know you worked for a marketing company before Onnit, I guess.
Yeah, I had to make a lot of pitches, but they were all planned. Like, I guess it's some kind of innate fear of rejection. It's the same as, back in my single days when I would have to talk to girls. Like, if a mutual friend introduced me, I was set. Like, we're good, no problem. But if I just have to go into a bar or a coffee shop full of girls and try and talk to one, it's probably not going to happen. I don't know. Maybe I need to get better at that. Something I can improve on always.
That's surprising, man. I see you as like, I would assume you've seen the movie Cocktail, right?
Yes.
Tom Cruise. I see you as Tom Cruise, like leaving the little, he throws the mattress over his shoulder to the girl when he's working down in like the Bahamas or whatever, and doing that whole, working that super smooth game, and yeah, I don't know.
No, I let my dance moves speak for me.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I understand, Aubrey. I've seen you. I've been to the Derby with you a couple years back. I've seen you. Yeah. Okay.
That's
I understand
it.
now. I understand.
That was my crutch. Without that, I was nothing.
Good for you. You said, when you say like the weird, not weird, but you had that like, maybe it's some insecure situation going on with fear of rejection if you to go in a room or have to try to make these weird connections. And believe me, I feel so awkward in situations like that as well. When you don't have to get into all of it, because I know you've spoken multiple times about your trips that you take, to whatever you want to call them, these trips where you die and come back to life, and
Sure.
going in with shamans and Peru and all over the world, and just some interesting stuff. Is that one of those things you take in with you? I know you talk about having like an intent going in. Is that has that ever been an intent to like maybe like an insecurity or fear of rejection where you go in and try to conquer that?
You're always tracking these different undercurrents inside of you and these different things that are coming up. I mean, fear of rejection is really a fear of not being liked. And that's a pretty deep fear that a lot of people have. It's not something that's like so dominant in me that I've had to really kind of focus on that. But as these things continue, you become aware of these things, and they have multiple different symptoms. One is maybe that, the other is whatever it may be, tailoring your behavior, some kind of thing that's limiting your free will. It's either a push or a pull. But anytime you're afraid of anything, it's going to have an impact. So you could certainly take that in there and then possibly see some pretty dramatic changes, because it's like it's like entering, an MMA cage with your greatest opponent, your fear, and either, one of you's coming out of there. Either you're going to defeat it or you're going to get your ass kicked. But it gives you every opportunity to win. But it puts it right up against you. So that's one of the beauties of doing this medicine work down in South America.
And when was the last trip you took?
A couple months ago, I did a series of 4 ayahuasca sessions down at Spirit Quest, followed by 2 with Chuma. So it was pretty full on, and I think that one took me to the deepest levels possible for sure.
And for us square conservative guys, what exactly are you talking about when you say you're going down to South America and doing ayahuasca?
Yeah, so ayahuasca is a traditional medicine from the Shipibo people down in the rainforest, and they've been using it for thousands of years. It's a combination of 2 plants. One plant is a vine that contains a substance called an MAOI, a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, and then the other is this leaf called the chacruna leaf, and sometimes a few other leaves. But that leaf contains a component called DMT, and you may have heard DMT. It's a little bit more common, but that is a molecule that's found in every living thing, and when it gets in higher quantities in the system, you have really intense, what appears to be transdimensional psychedelic experiences where you enter different places, new information comes, you talk to spirit guides. And this could all, of course, be in your own head, or some people think that you're actually accessing a different realm. But the combination of the vine allows the DMT in the leaves to become orally active. It's also very cleansing for the body. So you have a very purgative, cleansing experience in the body, and about a 4 to 6 hour, really intense psychedelic trans-dimensional journey on the DMT that allows you to face your fears, speak with allies, see things in a different perspective.
So when you say speak with allies, who would that be? Who would you have spoken to?
I spoke to a lot of different allies. I spoke to this being called the master of mosquitoes, the master of insects. I spoke to a dolphin, a bear, a dragon, an eagle, all kinds of different things appear to you, and they each have some small nugget of wisdom, generally, to talk to you about. I mean, it's rare that they just shoot the shit. It's usually for a purpose.
So do you, in your mind, do you actually, are you there and you see them? Say you talk to a bear. What happened? Did you walk up to him, or are you laying down? How does that work?
Yeah, well, that was the second time that I've seen a bear, and each had something of a similar lesson to teach me. And so you're lying down, your eyes are closed, and it comes to you in this dreamlike state. So it's not like every detail you see in HD, like every hair, you smell it, you feel it. This is kind of like a spirit being. So it's a bear, you can kind of see it as a bear, but it's not like the real life. It's not a hallucination. It's more of a vision. This time, really the message that the bear was trying to provide is he was saying that, the life of a bear is simple. We keep all of our possessions on our body, which is this food that they store. And then he showed how humans have all of these possessions everywhere else, and they're concerned about it constantly, almost trapped by our material wealth, because we're always worried about our houses, our cars, our money, our bills, everything. For the bear, it's way simple, oh, how much fat do I have? Is that enough fat for the winter? Sweet, I got enough fat. I'm good to go. And so that was the message of the bear, is the simplicity of keeping everything that you need to yourself. But then the bear said something funny at the end. He said, sometimes when we hibernate, we dream of being human. I was like, what the hell does that mean? I don't know what you're talking about, but all right.
And when you wake up, do you ask the shaman that administered the medicine, do you ask him about these, what the hell is this bear doing? What is he, anyone else, do you say, does anyone else ever see a bear?
Yeah, you can, and you'll find a lot of commonality. It's rare. So you have these sharing circles where you move around a talking stick, which is an old Native American tradition, and every time you get the talking stick, you tell your stories. And it's incredibly rare that you hear something from somebody that doesn't make perfect sense. So whatever people are accessing, it's either their best thinking, their most creative, highest thinking, or they're getting additional information from some other realm. Really powerful, transformative stuff. I mean, the bear stuff, that was just kind of fun. But ultimately, it breaks you down much deeper and finds the root of your fears and the root of your illness as well.
Man, so what if, okay, let's just say you went in with like the intent, or, I mean, I'm trying to like put myself in your shoes, and I it's tough to, because it's so.
Are you gonna put yourself in my shoes one day, AJ?
I mean, maybe if I get like brain cancer and they tell you got 6 weeks to live, and I'm like, oh
that's
man,
what it's gonna take.
I'm struggling. I got to beat this thing. I got to really mentally. This is gonna break me. And then I'll just go jump off the cliff when I have 2 weeks to live, when I'm in Peru with some shaman on my back. No, I don't know. You know what, man? It's so different than anything that I've ever, like, obviously taken part of, but even been around. You know, I don't know if I've met anybody or they've told me that they've done what you have done, you know, gone and done these trips. So it's super, like, interesting to me. I think I'm still, like a lot of people, I'm like scared of that whole situation going in. Sure. You know, it's just so weird. And then now I'm almost, do you see it becoming, it's honestly become a lot more popular because of you going on, you know, the Joe Rogan podcast and talking about it. And now it's like, it's almost like this hipster thing to do. People are going down to the jungle and doing this. Have you seen the jump since when you started?
There has been a lot of momentum, and I'm sure I played some small part in that, but there's a lot of other channels that have been kind of opened up. And I think one of the key things in helping me deliver my message is simply that I don't fit the mold of somebody who's just looking to recreational, oh, I'm going to go see some shit, bro. It's going to be awesome. I'm running a big company. I take care of my body as much as possible. I've always been an athlete, always been a, kind of peak performer. And so looking at this through the lens of another channel for peak performance rather than some, crazy experience that's more like, tripping, as you would say. It's a tool. It's a tool that people can use to really access their greatest happiness, peak potential. I mean, really one of the first times I did ayahuasca helped me plan the vision for Onnit and sort out a lot of the mistakes that I was making in business and a lot of mistakes I was making in my personal life. And I have to give that a lot of credit for where I'm sitting today.
So if, like, let's say, hypothetically, let's put me in the little hut with the dudes, the shaman. Not trying to trivialize him, but I'm sitting there, and say the biggest thing bothering me is, say, like, I have a fear of death, and I'm just, I'm super scared of dying. I have all, I'm starting to get older, and I feel it, whatever. And that's like my thing I want to get over, but at the same time, going in, what if I was thinking, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I'm going to be confronted with this once I go to the other side, and how would that confront me, after the dude administered the medicine, after the beautiful shaman gave me and chanted his Icaros and blew tobacco smoke on my back, how would I be confronted? And I know I've seen some vivid things that you've said about this, and you're also a great writer, I've read too. What would it, how would it take me to the brink and help me face that?
Well, the medicine works through surrender and acceptance. So it would bring you to your greatest fear. Like what are the ways that you're actually afraid of dying? So for me, when it was taking me the very first time I did it, it took me through spiders crawling in my eyes and exploding out of my head, eels swimming up from the water, going inside me, thrashing around, eating out my organs. One particularly unpleasant one is I was sliding down a vine of thorns naked. Like naked. Why did I have to be naked?
Can you wear a cup, a jock and a cup at least?
Yeah, nothing.
At least
nothing. Didn't give me anything. No, not even any boxer briefs.
The world's not fair, Aubrey.
No, I know, but that really didn't get it. So that didn't really freak me out. So it was like probing. Like, what are the ways it's going to freak you out? And what it eventually found was that I had some fear of cancer, a fear of like suffering and dying from that. So that's what it told me I had. It said, oh, okay, you got cancer. And then I resisted. I was like, oh, no way. I'm healthy. I'm good. And this is all going on in my head until finally, after this 2-hour wrestling match with ayahuasca telling me I had cancer and I was going to die and me trying to fight against it, I just accepted it. And I said, okay, If that's the way it is, so be it. And immediately when I did that and accepted that and moved past that fear, you could feel the medicine like reward you with this rush of, positive vibes and energy and this feeling of being, held and loved. And it was really, really cool experience that, rewarded me for surrendering and accepting what was my greatest fear. And that's generally how it works. It'll bring you to the point where things are really uncomfortable. And when you're ready to let go, you let go, and then you get the reward.
Jeez. So how does that translate, though, once you get back in the States and you're done and it's all out of your system and everything, you've come out of it, does it stick with you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, these are like in sports or any kind of great challenge where you overcome something and you learn a little something about yourself. I mean, it's not like you ride the same momentum the whole time, but like if you're an athlete and you have to take that clutch shot and even make it or miss it, if you went up there and you did, like in that situation, you did absolutely everything you could, then the next time that comes around, you're going to be more confident. It's like just one of those things where you've been through it, it was real to you, and it's something that you can carry with you. And it makes, all of these things cumulatively, these challenges, these tests that you've overcome, add up and have really a cumulative benefit.
So it's probably a lot easier now is it easier for you to kind of be reminded of that, or you're just more aware and you can tap right back into it quicker? Now, if you do have some kind of fear or you have some anxiety about something, you can think back to some of your trips and down there and realize, like, okay, never mind. I've seen what the worst is. I'm good.
Absolutely. Yeah, it recalibrates things and allows you, because everything is in cycles. You touch a period where you're feeling amazing and you thinking clearly, and then you'll go to another period where you're a little depressed and thoughts are scrambled, but you can always remember those almost noble truths that you learned in a variety of different situations. And as I said, it can be from competition or it can be from ceremony. And so you can go back on those, and those form this kind of backbone. The last ayahuasca experience I had, it took me beyond my fear of death to my fear of non-existence, which was even a deeper level than death. Non-existence means that I was never born. I never existed. I was nothing. I didn't have a spirit that existed beyond this life. It was complete non-existence. And that was particularly intense. That was like even another level beyond death. And so going back to that and having to accept that and then seeing what was on the other side of that, what I really was, I mean, that's something I'll be able to keep forever.
Are you going to continue to keep taking these trips?
I will, yeah. I mean, and the frequency is not on some kind of schedule. It's by just tapping in and seeing, what you need. I'm pretty full up on this for a while. I mean, I released that one documentary called Wachuma, and I'm releasing another one on ayahuasca. And so I actually did more ceremonies than I normally would have for the sake of filmmaking. And I need a little time to recover. It's really like working out. If you overtrain in the gym, you're going to have to spend a little time recovering. And I was really on that borderline of overtraining, to use that analogy. So I'm still a bit in recovery mode.
Don't a lot of those guys down there too, aren't some of those, I don't know if it's Ibogaine or the ayahuasca that are used to kick big time drug habits?
Mm-hmm. Both have been pretty successful in doing that, treating a variety of conditions. A lot of these things that are issues with the brain, really what you need to do is find a moment of stillness where you can get out of these cycles. You need to find a cycle breaker. Iboga is particularly good at kicking opiates because there's a real physical addiction component to opiates that goes far beyond the psychological addiction. And Iboga is like being an ant on a tuning fork and then having some real strong, Mother Nature just go whang and smash it, and your whole body is vibrating differently for 2-3 days, and it really just cleanses whatever was in your system. I mean, it's miserable. You're puking and you're nauseous, and it's horrible. But after those 3 days, you're clean. And so that's why it's one of the reasons why it's been so effective. The other is it allows your mind to see around the reasons why. you were addicted to something in the first place.
Yeah, that you were nice enough. I don't even know if you remembered to. I had someone that I knew that was struggling with some stuff and reaching
Hmm.
out to me, and so I'm thinking like, oh man, I don't know. And this dude was talking about going to rehab and just having a rough time, and you actually talked to him and reached out to him. So I appreciate it, man.
For sure.
He's doing well now, and
Good.
I know you just need to talk to a good grounded dude like you, and you didn't need to take any time out of your day to do that, but you did. So that was very. He appreciates it, and so do I. But is that anything you see? Does that have any impact on like when you take these medicine trips on your relationships with people, like becoming a better friend or better boss? Because that's one of the things I think. I don't know if you were born with it or not. I haven't known you your whole life, but you have like a crazy high level of loyalty, high character, and it seems like you would die for your buddies. And you just
Hmm.
have that. You kind of have that, and is that something that you've picked up over time, or you think you kind of had that as a little kid?
I think you have natural tendencies. We all do, and I think my tendency was, I always had a tendency to be able to see fairness. To see what was just and what was not just, and what was fair and what was not fair, and then you just have to cultivate that from, every step along the way and test it and make sure it's strong, and that's how it gets to be a real part of your ethos. This unwavering part of your character. It's through these tests. And like that speech that, you were talking about online, it's through these tests and passing them, like we had opportunities to brush some things under the rug that presumably would have helped the business, but instead, had to dig deep and make the choice to be completely forthright about it. And all of these little things that come up, and I'm nowhere near perfect, but I try every time to pass these little challenges, to pass these tests, because every time you do, that adds to the momentum and that creates more of your ethos, and every time you break, it's another little step back where you got to forgive yourself and move past that, realize you're a new person and try to do better, the next time. So it's this constant thing. The Buddhists say, life is sadhana, which is spiritual practice. So we're all in this mode of trying to perfect who we want to be, and you know, moving along, taking steps, hopefully positive, and if not, picking ourselves up and really forgiving our mistakes. I think that's another trap that people get stuck in all the time, and something that was really difficult for me is I'm really hard on myself, but really forgiving yourself and loving yourself in spite of whatever has been in the past. That's a huge thing as well.
Are those like when you say like you see these monks, that meditate for 20 hours a day or whatever it is they do? Are they getting the same thing from that you would get or different people would get from going down to the jungle and taking these plant medicines? Can they get to that level?
I think they can. Yeah, I think they can. The message is delivered in a different way. But really we're all getting after the same thing, which is a quieting of this animalistic part of the mind to allow those the slats in the Venetian blind of perception to take in more information, either from our higher consciousness or from the collective conscious, or whatever your vocabulary permits, whatever is that highest part of ourselves, or that other information outside of us. Meditation can do that. I mean, there's a lot of studies on what's happening. You're basically quieting certain areas of the brain, enhancing other ones, moving from beta brain waves to alpha brain waves, eventually to theta brain waves. And it's even possible to move from theta to delta brain waves, which at that point, almost the entire brain is shut down. And so you're receiving just, very interesting levels of information if you're at that point. And a lot of these psychedelics do the same thing. It can almost be like, when you're doing these psychedelics, like drinking information from a fire hose. It's just like, and it's a lot for people to take in, because if you haven't had a meditation practice, or you haven't done flotation tanks or yoga or things like that, and you're never to these states, it just kind of cracks you open, and then all of a sudden you're in this realm of infinite knowledge, and it's like, how do I take it all in? So it's important to not only have the feasts, but to have your daily meals, and the daily meals being the meditations, the floating, the yoga, things like that.
That makes sense. I know you've said I don't know who was quoted originally in one of those sweet videos you make that you put together. It's like say it's like burning your house down to bake a loaf of bread.
Right.
When guys just meditate their whole life to get to that state that you got to in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is definitely a shortcut. You know, I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's definitely a shortcut. And the other issue I have with the people who just meditate their whole lives is, you know, if everybody did that, that would be fine. But there's a lot of people who are completely asleep and they're screwing the world up in a lot of different ways. And it takes more than just sitting on a hill somewhere by yourself to make real change in the world. And so, you know, for me, it's about not only getting to those states, but then putting that into action in a way that's relatable to people. You know, not just kind of saying, oh, I have this knowledge and me and my other people who have this knowledge, we're just going to separate ourselves from everyone. The time now is to get out, be in public, you know, talk on venues like this where there's going to be people here listening who haven't heard anything like this, and just to be able to share a bit of my experience and say, hey, it's out there for you as well. You know, don't listen to me, what I'm saying. Go find it for yourself. You want truths, you want to understand, you know, a true connection to spirituality, a chance to optimize your performance. You know, there's opportunities available out there. Go find it yourself. Don't listen to anybody else.
That's what I think it's cool that you've been doing too. And you referenced it a second ago about you said you had a situation at Onnit where you could have swept under the rug. Are you talking about when your website got hacked or whatever, and people's information could have possibly got out, but it didn't?
That's it. Yeah, I mean, we found something, an internal leak, where someone actually from an outside developer came in and put in a little trap to collect some data, and since we found it ourselves, no one was affected. It would have been easy to just kind of say, okay, we fixed that, we got it, we're good. But instead, you make the tough choice to go out, announce it to everybody in case someone's data had been compromised. And it's just one example of a series of choices, but always choosing that way will eventually get rewarded. And anytime you do the other way, maybe it takes a long time. You know, obviously Monsanto made a lot of money, you know, but their day will come where the reckoning will happen, and justice is sometimes slow, but it eventually comes. And I think a lot of those things are coming to fruition now.
Is that did you ever get an answer on this when you're down there? Why it's so hard? It's one of the things I think everybody struggles with. I sometimes question it when you think, why do sometimes a guy or a group that just why do good things happen to bad people sometimes, and sometimes it seems like they continue to, whether they're bad or not, or selfish or huge ego people. That's like one of the things I think I've been more aware of, and it's a thing I fight with a lot. Like, man, what's going on, you know, with this situation? And I always try to like bring myself back and say, it's all right, man. Everything comes back around. But then I start thinking at the same time, like, I don't want to wish bad on this dude, though. Then I'm worse than him, you know, or worse than this group or whoever these people are. But why is that? I don't know. Why is that something in our brain, you think, that we see it? I just think we're hyper aware of it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's some people I'm around that I see are hyper aware of when things like that, or a group of people seem like they're just cheating the system, you know, they're not working hard, they're stepping on all the guys to get to the top. And then it's like, well, you know, their day will come, I know, and then you sit there and watch, and, you know, their day
never seems to
never does. But I mean, someday it might. But what is that in our brain that seems to, I don't know, like, why am I aware of that so much?
Well, you have a sense of fairness, and we like to see things happen immediately and we like to see the justice be swift and visible. You know, I mean, that's what our brain likes to see. That's the tribal rules that we grew up in. If someone did something wrong in the tribe, there was immediate, you know, public reaction so that we could get over it. That's built into our social structure. But really, you know, what you have to understand is those good things you think are happening to them may not be, because if they're doing bad things, there's a part of them that is deeply suffering. They're either deeply afraid, they're deeply in pain. And so these things that you think are good are actually probably preventing them from changing. Because if bad things started to happen, they would have an opportunity to, if quote bad things, they would have an opportunity to change, reflect, hit rock bottom, become a new person, actually be actualized, happy, flourish in a different way. So these millions of dollars piling on millions of dollars, or whatever from the outside looks like, look, this guy's getting rewarded by the universe. That could be a punishment. That could be something preventing them from making the change so that they were truly happy and truly aligned with, their best purpose. And I think all of us are innately here for good, and when we're acting out of alliance with that, then some part of us is suffering. And so these things could just be prolonging that suffering. And maybe they're not fully aware of it, but I have a feeling that when they pass over to the other side and the blinders are taken off all of their rationalizations, they'll get to look back at their life, and it'll be a shocking moment.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks, Aubrey, for the little therapy session. But yeah, it's cool, man. Looking at it that way, it's not like something that kills me or whatever, but it's one of the things that definitely crosses my mind and sticks with me longer than other things, just because I try to tell my kids, I have 2 young kids, I try to tell them, like, hey, life's not fair. Things are going to happen. You can't sit here and whine about it or cry about it. You just got to keep rolling, keep going, man. Don't worry about it. Everything evens out. But at the same time, I try to teach them to don't wish bad upon anybody either. Don't tell them, oh, your time will come. That holier than thou situation. I don't
because the time is happening now, and it's just hard to see from that long perspective. You got to look at the long lens, even a lens that, for me, the long lens means a lens that extends even past this life. This is just one potential incarnation in a string of many. So taking the long lens, I think absolutely these things even out. But even taking the lens a little bit shorter, just looking at this life, understanding the premise that there's a part of each individual that is only going to be happy when they're living in accord with, their highest principles to help each other, help the earth, make this creation even better. When they're out of alliance with that, they're suffering. They're suffering right there in that moment in some way, even if on the outside it doesn't look like they are. So there is immediate ramifications, even if externally it looks like they're having a blast.
I think it comes back to the thing that I always talk about. I always feel like I just want to be authentic. I want to be me. I don't, whatever that is, and I respect that with other people, especially the older I get. Like, whatever you are, just be you, man. Don't try to be what you think I want you to be or someone else wants you to be, because if you look at anybody, even people that you think are like the coolest people ever, and I don't know, like I can't think of an example, but for some reason what came to my mind just now was that dude that used to dance with P. Diddy, Farnsworth Bentley, was that his name?
Yeah.
Like that dude, remember he'd dress up in bow ties and dance with an umbrella and just crazy? Like, and he was hugely popular for a while. I'm sure he still is in some realm. But it's like he owned it, I always say just own it, man. Whatever it is, just own whatever your beliefs are, whatever you think. And I don't know, it just would be better that way.
What a burden it is to wear a mask all the time. I mean, first of all of the accolades you get, you won't accept. Any of the love you get, you won't accept because it's not you. So it will never reach the core level where you need to get nourished. So you're just digging a deeper hole and a deeper hole. Even if you get someone to like you by being inauthentic, you won't feel it. So it's a false win. It's a fail. No matter what happens, if you're not yourself, forget it. It's never going to yield any kind of positive result. I mean, because only when you're truly yourself and someone embraces that, that's when you feel that's kind of satisfaction. And generally, when you are truly yourself, that's when people are going to recognize that, and that adulation and acceptance is going to be overwhelmingly there. And yeah, there's going to be some assholes for sure, but that's their story, and you don't have to allow them to affect how you feel, because you got to fill yourself up with enough of your own self-love and confidence that, rock who you are. That's it. That's the most important thing, and you'd be shocked how well it'll go once you reach that level.
That's a great message, man. it's like you at the Derby, man, with your crazy dance moves out there, and you didn't care if there was a girl in front of you or not, man. You were gonna roll with it. You didn't care.
No,
and
that's it.
I think the females. I think you came by yourself. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you in trouble if not, but and the females could feel that energy, and they could feel your passion, and they just naturally would be attracted and come over and want to dance with you, want to grind all over you, man. So that's just one little tiny microcosm of your life. You know, good people are attracted to you in many different ways.
Yeah, man, just that kind of enthusiasm when it's real. It's like a little tractor beam. I don't know if you ever played that game Galaga, you know, where you're this little spaceship and you get this thing and you have this little tractor beam and you're attracting these other people to your cause. You know, the tractor beam is being in the present moment and being yourself. And if you're doing that, people love that because they want that for themselves. And then when they're around that, you get in these kind of social moments where it's bringing everybody to that same level. And so that's the tractor beam, whether you're trying to attract a love or, you know, attract money or attract a business partner. Getting yourself to that state is the key thing, man. It's just being in the moment, being in the present, and being your authentic self. Nothing better than that. You know, that's it.
Yeah, doing what you're passionate about, and you're a prime example of that. That's one of the things I know you don't have any kids yet that I know of, unless you changed in the last couple months. But I always bring them up here. But that's one of the things that I'm trying to pass down. Like, we watch YouTube clips of all different kind of musicians and people dancing and singing and stuff. And the other night, I came across Freddie Mercury, and this dude was wearing a skin-tight yellow Gold's Gym tank top with like a weird tight shirt under it, fully tucked into like these white acid wash jeans. And he was killing it, man, like playing to like 80,000 people and just annihilating. And it was awesome. And both my kids were just loving it. They're 4 and 2, and they're jumping around, dancing, going crazy. And I was like, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, guys, you got to respect this dude's passion, whether you like his music or not. This is amazing. Like, look at his energy. Right. Look how much he cares about what he's doing. And I say it like almost, I started saying it a long time ago to them as like a joke, but it's not anymore, because it's, when I see someone, whatever they may be, even if I think it's the worst music ever, or it's stand up and I don't like it, but I don't think it's funny, I still always try to tell them, like, you got to respect what this dude is doing because of how much they put into it. And I think I see that more as I go, and it's almost like it's got me watching things and being like, I don't know, liking more bands, liking different shows or performers or different things, just because I can see like how much this dude cares sometimes. And it's like, yeah, you got to be kidding me, man. It's like infectious. You can feel it. You can feel these dude, no matter what they're doing, you can feel that, like, wow, he's all in. This dude owns it. You know, he can tell this is what he was put on this earth to do, or at least it makes it look that way. And that's almost like what I think you, with what you're doing and Onnit and all your story, is like, you have all these people that are they seem to be like-minded people. Everyone I've met that works for you, they're like attracted to what you have going on down there. And is that something, like, I know you're a stud college basketball player, so I'm gonna make sure people know that. And I've seen you play a bit. I know you can play.
Better high school basketball player than college. But yeah, all right, we'll take it.
But yeah, I mean, you're a legit athlete, obviously. And did you know, like, say like you were in high school and college, I don't know, were you a guy that always had like a big old group of friends, or did you have like a tiny little clique? I could see you being a guy that kind of like hung out with everybody.
Yeah, man, it's been an evolution for me for sure. You know, and I think I can chart just constant growth. I had journals since 1997 that I've kept, and I was actually reading through them because I have a new book project that I'm working on. And it's been a huge evolution. You know, I mean, I was, again, shy at the start. I mean, my social influence has grown, you know, steadily every year. You know, in college it got to be pretty big, but in high school, you know, started off, I was the new kid from California, and then, you know, made a couple friends. But of course, sports help, you know, because that gets you to that other stage. And I think that's like one of the key things that you can get from sports. But really the main thing is exactly what you talked about, is that it allows you to apply yourself 100% fully and learn the lessons from doing that. And it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what I say when I'm hiring people for the company. Like, I don't care if you're great at darts, if you're great at, croquet or highlight or, writing haikus. As long as you're great at something and you've reached that level of your own flow state where you're in the zone, you're in the pocket, you're in the moment, and you're bringing everything you got, then I want you on the team, because anybody who knows how to get to that spot can apply that to other things. And that's the most important thing. And that's what we love to watch, man. It's exactly it. It doesn't matter what Olympic sport you turn on. In fact, I like some of the more obscure ones, because you see these moments where people are reaching some other level. And it's why we like MMA. It's why we like football. I mean, yeah, there's exciting backdrops and cool rules and things that seem extreme to us, but really it's about people reaching in and finding something that, really amazes us with their passion, their enthusiasm, their ability to harness the present moment. I mean, that's the magic shit that we live for, not just somebody with incredible skills phoning it in. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are, but if you're just kind of phoning it in, it's not entertaining, You want that Freddie Mercury with your crazy outfit.
Gold's Gym cutoff. Why is he wearing a Gold's Gym cutoff? Who gave him
for
that?
Irony, AJ. For irony.
You're right. This was before the whole hipster movement. So you're right.
That's it.
This was like the early '80s, and he probably weighed 120 pounds. So
that's it.
He had the full-blown AIDS.
What could he do?
I don't know at that time, but yeah, you're right, man. For irony,
didn't he die? Didn't he die of that? I thought.
Yeah, he died of AIDS. Trust me. After
he was the first one.
Yeah, you're right. I'm on YouTube. Watching like these little clips, and I like scroll down, and there's the topics like the last days of Freddie Mercury, the last interview, and I like clicked on one, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like, he didn't look good, man. He didn't look good. My kids were awake still. I'm like, oh no, we'll get back to that, guys. When in 15 years, we'll tell you the rest of the story.
Most underrated Freddie Mercury song is "Princes of the Universe." Oh, also, the theme song for Highlander, the series. Yeah, so check that out.
That's a good little callback. All right, yeah, man, I might have to do that now. I might have to go back to it.
Oh yeah, "Princes of the Universe" by Queen.
I'll see. Okay.
Epic. Well, the first minute and 30 are epic, and then it gets in this weird. You know how Queen like changes their songs, and you think you're listening to one song, and then all of a sudden it's a totally different song. Well, the second half of that song, I don't know where it came from, but the first half gets me fired up.
Came from Freddie's mind, Aubrey.
Yeah, that's
genius. The genius of Freddie. I don't even know if he wrote the song. I have no idea. I wish I knew more about Queen.
But he sang the hell out of it.
You're right. And he took the mic stand and he like broke it in half, and he carried the whole like half mic stand around. I haven't seen anyone do it since. No one has the balls to do it since. So if you probably are in a band. If you're a lead singer in a band, maybe you could bring it back. You have that.
Yeah, no. I'm more of I could like play a drum or two, but that's about it.
Bongo drummer.
Yeah, that's it.
Parties. I have a buddy that does that. I have a buddy that's done that.
I'm good playing the bongos when there's really loud music that I can just kind of play behind the music.
Why not?
That's how it's good.
Why not? What would you, to segue quickly, what would you say is your biggest like business disappointment, or I don't want to say regret. I don't know if you have regrets or not, but like what was your biggest failure maybe or disappointment?
I failed at a ton of stuff before Onnit. I mean, that was over and over again. I was working with a lot of startup companies as, a marketing firm, and sometimes starting them on my own, and pretty much every one failed. I think I had they would have like these limited successes, but I pretty much failed at everything until I was about 30 or so. I had some successes and some bright spots, but nothing was really lined up, and I'm actually grateful for those, because if some of those had taken off, that might have delayed me from starting Onnit, which was the perfect utilization of my skills and my passion. So, again, looking at the long lens, it's hard to have any regrets. It's hard to say, I would have done anything different. If I had this knowledge now, I think I could have maybe started a little earlier on the process, but I wasn't ready then. I wasn't ready to be CEO of, we got like 70 employees now. I wasn't ready to be CEO of this company when I was 28. Even if I thought I wasn't. I hadn't been tempered enough, not enough time in the fire, not enough hammer strokes, forging the steel, bending it over again. I mean, that's what it is. And it's thump, thump, thwack, thwack. I mean, you get hammered, you get beaten down, and you get stronger and sharper because of it. And that's the way we are. We grow through meeting challenges and overcoming them. And so, I really can't have any regrets. I have some, I wish I would have known more about health in the human body. I did some ridiculous stuff. As a kid, I was eating fluoride pills. I had like constant bouts of antibiotics for strep throat without taking any probiotics to help me recover. Like all of these things that are like so common knowledge. GMOs, who the hell knew what a GMO was like 10 years ago? Nobody. It's like, oh, corn in the cob, fantastic, my favorite. What's in here? High fructose corn syrup. Oh, that's better than sugar. Like who knew? Nobody knew anything. I mean, some people did, obviously, but I didn't. I was eating chicken nuggets and double Western bacon cheeseburgers, and and there's some things that I'm still cleaning up from that, particularly in the gut health area. I think that's one of the most important things. So I wish I would have known some of that stuff, but that information wasn't available. And part of me, learning and recovering from that is propelling me to make sure that our health platform and Onnit is impeccable. And we're coming out with the best tools to help people reach, their peak performance.
Do you think those failures that you said you had, is the most, like the best thing you get from that is that you learn what not to do? Because that's, in my experience, that's what I've seen before in my life. Like I see, okay, if I get a chance, this is what I'm not going to do. I see what, not being a good leader, or how you can lose the respect of guys or things. Like, is that, what do you think, why people grow so much from failures?
Yeah, failures,
and failure, I don't even like using the word failure, but like, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't matter what we use. It's just language we created.
It's a temporary failure. You haven't lost the war, but you've lost the battle. It didn't go out the way that you wanted to. And it's always a great opportunity to reflect. Victory has a way of smoothing over all of the things that you did wrong. It's just really hard to learn adequately from a victory because you're looking to the next one already, whereas these losses give you a moment to reflect. But yeah, I mean, I think all of that is, some of it's learning what not to do, some of it's getting almost there, and so having some positive things that, ooh, I almost made this successful, I was close in this, and so that can give you some momentum, some hope, in that regard. So there's all kinds of different things. The key thing is to just keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, just keep trying, keep doing it. And don't worry about what other people are going to think or what everybody's going to do. If even if they're rolling their eyes, oh, here he goes, another invention. One of those ones is going to hit. And it'll hit when all of the things coincide. Your passion, your expertise, the timing. You're ready to carry the weight of that success. It'll hit when it's supposed to.
What do you think the hardest thing is about starting a company like Onnit from nothing and making it, like you said, with 70 employees, multi-million-dollar company, growing huge every year? What's the toughest thing you have to deal with?
Well, stress management personally is the toughest thing. I mean, when you're responsible for such a large amount of people and, have such high goals, managing your own stress load and making sure that you're performing optimally, that's pretty key. But as far as starting out, I think the key thing is to think about how you're going to get the message to the people and what service you're going to provide them. I mean, I think a lot of times people think of like, oh yeah, we could get people to buy this, but they're already like degrading these people as someone stupider than them who will buy it because you'll trick them into buying it. Really, you got to think about it like, what exchange can I give to these people that will be beneficial to them? So that's how we think about all our customers, is this is, at the very least an even exchange. And what we hope to have is an exchange where they're far clearly in the lead. We get some money, but they get a product or a service and care that's going to, benefit them far greater than the amount of money that they give us. And so we're always creating this positive feedback loop. And then with the resources we get, we create even more, we push out even more. And creating this positive service, positive feedback loop, that's the key thing. So never to look at your potential customers in any kind of diminutive way. Like, think of them as little versions of yourself or big versions of yourself, whatever you want to do. I think that's a real key thing. Is it's too late to trick anybody. Those days are done. The time now is to provide genuine quality service and then figure it out how to get it in front of people. Because that's another challenge. So having some real avenues to get it in front of people is another big thing. Because there's a lot of great stuff that just dies on the wayside because people don't know about it.
That seems to go along with all of everything, how you live. Seems like you make stuff, you guys sell stuff that you would want to use, and you're like, what would I want? What do I want to work out with? What kind of supplements do I like? What do I want?
Mm-hmm.
Blenders, all this stuff. Yeah, whatever. You guys, go on the site. Anybody who wants to see, you guys sell everything now, especially from when I became aware of you guys. How much it grows is really cool to see.
What did we have? What did we have when you first
Alpha Brain? You had Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech Sport, and maybe New Mood. I think that's honestly it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't know when that would have been, what year it was exactly. I first started talking to you shortly after you guys.
The early days. Yeah, I mean, the Alpha Brain formula is remarkably similar to those very early days. And we actually just got. I don't think I've even had a chance to talk to you unless you've been really listening to podcasts or tweets lately, but we just got our clinical results back, and it showed that the people taking Alpha Brain versus placebo at the Boston Center for Memory, we hooked them up to a QEEG, which is like a brainwave scanner, and one of the tests they had was they had an auditory signal, and they would have to press a button when they heard the signal. And the people who were taking Alpha Brain were significantly faster in hearing the signal and pressing the button after taking Alpha Brain, which is a huge result for athletes, because, being able to respond quicker to a stimulus is, a massive, massive edge to have. So whatever that is, a visual cue, an auditory cue, a punch being thrown at your head, movement of a ball one way, reaction with your ping pong paddle. I don't care what sport you're playing, unless you're a marathon runner, and then maybe it's not going to help you. But a lot of cool stuff. Plus, obviously the other results with improvement in memory, improvement in peak alpha brain waves, which is the ability to be in the flow state, and then theta beta ratio, which is your ability to concentrate. Really some pretty cool results. But you had the faith early, man. Way before these clinical trials, you were taking some Alpha Brain and you're like, Aubrey, this stuff works.
I just send you a random email. Yeah, you talk about like a organic way of coming and finding you guys. I heard you on, heard you with Joe Rogan, and I think I just sent you guys an email like to your site saying, hey man, I'd love to check this stuff out, but I don't know. It sounds like it's probably illegal. It's banned in the NFL, and I had it checked out, and you got back to me shortly and said, don't worry, trust me. I think you said like we have Bodie Miller, and they would love to bust Bodie, and Bodie's all on board with this, and so I got that, and then I checked with everybody, and everything's all good. So that was early on, and I heard it. That's probably, I would imagine that's how a lot of people heard about Onnit and Alpha Brain, and from Joe's podcast. He does such a good job, and you've done a great job on there telling your story of everything you've done. But yeah, it was really cool to hear, to actually get a response from you at the time too. I remember telling my brother, I think I was on the phone with him, or I sent him an email. I was like, hey man, have you ever heard of this? Like this Alpha Brain stuff, and this, I was listening on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I think that was like when I just started listening to the podcast too. A couple months before that, I sent a note to you guys, and that got him on as a fan. Well, yeah, it's such a trickle down effect, I feel like, because yeah, it's true. You guys are doing the right thing, and you're trying to do right by people, and I think they see that, especially with how transparent everybody needs to be now. And you guys are so transparent. It's amazing. It's cool to see that. Is that your plan? You have like a 5 or 10 year, 20 year plan for Onnit?
Oh man, I mean, I'm lucky if I'm seeing 20 days ahead accurately, but we try to, I do have like a maybe a 2-year plan, you know. I want a couple areas I want to shore up. Personal care is something that I want to pay attention to because it's not only what you ingest in your body, but what you put on your skin gets in your body at rates anywhere from 40% to 90%, depending on where you put it. And I think a lot of people make that disconnect. You know, as you're rubbing that antiperspirant under your arms, you think, oh, it's just under my arms. You know, my skin will be an effective barrier. Well, it's not. You know, so if you wouldn't take a bite out of your deodorant and swallow it, you shouldn't put it on your body. You know, I mean, it's those chemicals are going to get in your system. So I think that's an awareness that people need to kind of get a handle of. And I don't think we'll make a huge business doing it, but I want Onnit to be able to have one option at least. There's a lot of good options out there. One option we can really stand by that'll handle those needs. I think pushing people to, you know, cultivate their own food is another thing that I really want to do. Even if it's not anything more than 1% of your food, but just having like a few things you can grow, like a log that makes, you know, good medicinal mushrooms, like reishi mushrooms or something that you can just wet it and those will grow out, and then you could cook those or eat those or whatever you want to do, or have a little garden. Or
now, when you say medicinal mushrooms, what do you mean? With psilocybin? Mushrooms that have psilocybin in them?
Those would be more psychedelic mushrooms.
Okay, my bad. When you say I get so confused here, Aubrey. Medicinal.
That's true, because we use the word medicine. So medicinal mushrooms are just mushrooms that have more components like beta-glucans and polysaccharides and things that are helpful to the human body beyond just eating like a button mushroom or something like that. So we put them in a lot of our formulas. That's the basis of Shroom Tech Sport, Shroom Tech Immune. We have Cordyceps sinensis, lion's mane, reishi, all different types of chaga, all different types of mushrooms. So, but yeah, so helping people to just cultivate these food sources, I think, is another key area. And then coming up with some more therapeutic or, you know, design lines. Like I'd really like to find a good stack of supplements and protocols for people with TBI, for example. You know, we're very close to a lot of MMA fighters, and I know football players as well, hockey players, and that's definitely an issue of concern. And instead of just kind of throwing our hands up, I'd love to have the best available solutions all kind of put together with a protocol. And so those are the things we're kind of keeping the eye on for the future. And there'll be little stuff too, you know, along the way. We got some different proteins coming out, things like that. But the big game changers are going to be personal care, food cultivation, and then a therapeutics line.
I like it, man. I'm a fan, obviously. Found you guys on my own. But my final question I would have, this isn't like a ground earth-shattering question or whatever, but I listen to a lot of different podcasts these days, and a question that I've heard someone that it struck me that you would this would be a fun question to ask you. I heard on some entrepreneur podcast thing, and you're the prime example of what an entrepreneur can be. You know, like if you're in some stupid job that you don't like, but you feel safe or whatever, like, hey, look what you did, man. You struck it on your own, and you, boom, look at it now. You're basically, like I said, you're like Leo DiCaprio and the Gatsby, just building whatever. Yeah, let's do it. Let's sell it. Boom, make it profitable. Obviously, it's not that easy, but you're doing it. That's what it looks like, and you're, you know, it's awesome, man. So, but if let's say someone handed you $1 billion with a B, billion, that's you netted $1 billion. So Obama and the government's not taking any of it. What would you do? What would you do with it?
Yeah, that's not that hard a question for me because I've already thought about it.
Aubrey, come
on. And I'm kind of planning it. Really, you know, Onnit is about getting the human body to a state where it's out of pain, it has adequate energy, and it's healthy enough that you can start focusing on optimizing other parts of your life. Because when you're in pain, when your body is sick, and when you don't have energy, and it's really difficult to focus on other things like compassion for fellow people, caring about the earth. You just don't care. Like, think about the time when you're, you know, like an extreme example, when you're really sick, you know, you donating to charity and being, you know, really caring about other people when you're sick, it just doesn't happen. You're like, help me, I'm sick, you know, or you're angry or whatever. It just triggers a lot of these responses. So Onnit is the vehicle to get people's body into a position where the rest of the thing can be optimized. And then so the rest of it is really about expanding consciousness. It's about finding that still place that can open up, compassion in your heart, compassion for the earth, appreciation for this experience that we have. And so I would push all of that money into proliferating that, either through creation of new documentaries, studies, clinical trials. We would do a ton of more clinical trials and fund those for all these different plant medicines, because I think that's a great tool, but also on, studies on flotation, sensory deprivation tanks, studies on yoga, studies on all of these things to bring that science blended with this kind of traditional spiritual understanding so that it's an easier, more digestible amount of information for the public en masse. Because I think it's time for the world to change. And instead of just trying to, buy a little more rice or food to feed people who are poor, which is great. It's a noble cause that needs to happen. But my cause is to go to the very tip of the iceberg, which is consciousness. And I think if we change the consciousness of the world, there'll be plenty to go around. And so that's going to be my target. So when I get the $1 billion, that's what I'm going to put it towards.
That's a good answer, man. I'm sure I know you're a car guy. You'd buy 1 or 2 nice cars, hopefully.
Yeah, I was looking at, Joe Rogan sent me the site, and there's this thing they call the Viper Cuda. It's like a Hemi Cuda with a Viper engine in it. Yeah. And I drive a Tesla now, and it's all electric, so I don't hear a motor anymore. So yeah, I would definitely probably buy the Viper Cuda so I could just counterbalance, just remember the old days of American muscle and the roar of an engine as I'm zipping around in my fancy golf cart.
The Viper Cuda is otherwise known as your suicide machine for sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna roll real slow. If I go too fast, AJ, how are they gonna see it's a Viper Cuda?
You're very right, man. Good point.
That thing's never gonna go above 40. Everybody's gonna see me.
You're right. And you got $1 billion, so you can pay some little dude just to be there 24 hours a day washing it and cleaning your rims.
That's it. He'll wash it while I'm driving it if there's a spot on. Because I'll be going that slow.
It's a noble cause down in Austin. Everyone, let me know. Someone tweet at me if you see Aubrey doing that. Let me know. We'll know in a couple years when you get that way. When Onnit really gets to $1 billion.
My mobile car washers.
It'll be fun to see a couple guys hanging off either side, washing your windows, and oh yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah. Well, Aubrey, I really appreciate it, man. You are an awesome dude, very unique individual that does some interesting things and obviously killing it in business and in life. So it's been fun to get to know you over the years and look forward to a lifetime of a relationship with you. You've opened my eyes maybe, or maybe just kind of look at things obviously differently, and I think that's good for all of us. We all need to kind of look around. And I've been caught up as a little kid, just straight meathead, squats, bench, clean, steak, water, So it's good to meet people like you that venture out there and you do it and you're not scared and you kind of take chances. So it's been fun, man. And
I appreciate that. And I got to give you a lot of credit, man. I mean, I don't know if there's a single other active NFL player that has a podcast or any other active Big Four athlete. So this is awesome, man. I mean, this is such a cool venue. Because you're you, and you can't be hiding behind anything when you do a podcast. And that's why people love podcasts, is because it's impossible to keep a mask on for this amount of time, really. I mean, unless you're just a total psychopath. So opening yourself up to that and being a part of this movement, man, it's awesome. And I'm just honored to be a part of this with you, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you. Anyone can find Aubrey at... You got your name, Aubrey Marcus, on Twitter now, right?
Everything's at Aubrey Marcus, AubreyMarcus.com. I got it all squared away. I still don't have one of those blue check marks, but everything's still at Aubrey Marcus.
You can get it. You'll get it soon, man. We'll have my buddy Todd, who runs everything here at the site. He'll put your little Twitter name down there and links to your personal website. You're a great writer as well. Really good writer, man. I know I've texted you in the past and let you know after I read one of your cool blog posts or whatever you do. It's and you seem to update that a lot. So your personal site, everything, man, is great, as well as what you're doing. So it's been fun, man. Appreciate it. And you host your own podcast as well. Go find Aubrey's. Has some awesome guests.
Warrior Poet Project, and then the Onnit podcast as well. You were a guest on the Onnit Total Human Optimization podcast. So
back in the day, man.
Back in the day. I have to get you on again now that you're a professional.
Yeah, that's exactly what I am. Professional. Warrior Poet. That's what I call my little 2-year-old son sometimes. He's an absolute Neanderthal and will hammer fist my 4-year-old daughter and just punch her, try to choke her. But then all of a sudden, if you take his little blankie away from you, he'll be crying like a little girl. So I joke and say,
Warrior Poet.
He's a warrior poet, guys. And I got that from you and from the great William Wallace in Braveheart as well.
Indeed, my friend.
But
Indeed.
this has been a fun way for me to wrap it up for 10 minutes, like I seem to ramble every time I'm on here. But I appreciate it, man. You're awesome. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right. Thanks, AJ.
Thank you for joining in. Please visit thehawkcast.com, where you can discover the next guest, get a little more information about why this exists, watch past episodes, or link over to iTunes. And tell some friends too, so we can all hear more great stories together.